This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska.
We've got some cool things here on the table. We've got lots of extra people in this room. We've increased it by what, 25%?
She Goes Outdoors. The lady of She Goes Outdoors in the studio with us today.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
This has only been your second or third time?
I think third.
Third.
Yeah.
It is her third time.
Maybe my first time with Jeff.
Yeah, she's been here twice when I've not been here.
No, we did. You and I were with Julia, one of the last ones that we recorded before the end of 2021. Because I think we were the only three in the entire building right there around the holidays.
And you said, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, we needed to. We got all sorts of things going on. So, Julia, thanks for joining us. Summer camp's going on for one of your youngsters.
Absolutely. He's having a blast here at the Education Center and survival camp.
Is that what it is?
It is. Like, he's telling me all these things he's been doing and building fires and shelters. And I said, well, what's your favorite thing? He's like, archery. I'm like, well,
archery.
Yeah, he's digging it.
I like this kid.
He's already got his birthday list, yay long, and the one of them is he wants additions to his archery equipment, which I'm comfortable with.
Nice. Now he's kind of always been into archery.
He has. He really enjoys it much more than I think. Like his other brother, that's once the 22 and then a shotgun and then a 17.
Much more the gun kid. Your first one, yeah.
One of the things, having only two kids myself, it really shocks me how unique they can both be, even with the same set of genes.
Yeah, they are so different. I'm not even sure that they have any gene alike.
There's got to be one or two.
Oh, well, yeah, true. But they're night and day different.
Yeah.
So many ways.
Well, that's cool. Now we're going to get into it. You guys ever been to summer camp? We've got a full house here at the Hunt Nebraska cabin, folks. We got Kayla over here pushing buttons. If you can't see her, Julia from She Goes Outdoors podcast, one of our lead gals in a lot of outreach efforts, both in the school and adult ladies. We got the Jeff Rollinson sitting right over there. Hunter, our R3 coordinator here with NWTF, myself, Hershey. We've got all sorts of stuff going down here. When you go to summer camp, a lot of cool memories made, right? So let's hear them. Let's hear them.
Oh, my gosh.
Because memories are being made right now where we are sitting, folks. There's going to be summer camps going on from now until probably school goes back in August. Around then, and then they just kind of move things to the weekends. A lot of great activities. So let's hear one of those memories,
I'm going to tell you right now, my dad, his childhood was an interesting one, okay? And I didn't know much about his childhood. I've never heard a lot of the details about his childhood. Every once in a while he'd talk about something, but the one thing that he and his twin brother both get together and talk about is their experience at summer camp when they were probably 10 or 11 years old. And they didn't have a scout leader to take them to summer camp, so they just decided their own troop decided they'd just go on their own. This is back in the the 40s in South Texas, of course, and so they went on their own summer camp, and I don't know if they knew they were there. They were kind of way in the back of the park, and they were camping just like all the other kids, and then they'd come through the chow hall and they just kind of assumed that they were part of the campers. And apparently they stole firewood from the other camps to get the fire going. But what's interesting is, of all the things that they remember of their childhood, summer camp was a big deal for them, and they had a Huckleberry Finn type childhood. It was an interesting childhood. So, summer camp was a big deal for them.
So they had summer camp experience, but they might not have ever been officially to a summer camp.
Cheaper. I think they just saved money. I don't know, but things were different back in South Texas in those days, I guess, back in the 40s. And,
that's pretty smart there.
But what the point is, it was a big deal to them, right?
Oh,
of all the things that they did, I heard all kinds of stories in their childhood, but that was the one I heard the most. And, I think back to my own childhood. And, summer camp played a big part of things, and the things I like to do in the outdoors, got to do at summer camp. And, after summer camp, I came home with experiences, and I had a couple summer camps under my belt, and it was kind of like, well, I did these things at summer camp. I should be able to do them, now. Why can't I do them at home? And I think my parents, he's got that experience, and so I started getting out and doing more things, getting able to go shooting and hunting and that kind of stuff, just from some of the skills I learned in summer camp. It was a big deal for me. I enjoyed summer camp quite a bit.
Best memory?
Boy, there was a lot of them. The shooting activities were always cool to me. I never got to shoot enough, and so when I was at summer camp, shooting activities and being good at it, where a lot of kids were learning where the sights were, and I was just over there just blowing out the center of the target. I was having fun. I enjoyed that part. And the campouts. The beauty of summer camp at night, when all the activities are done, you still got the evening, the campfire, the camaraderie with all your buddies there. That was cool to me.
Oh, definitely. Kayla?
My favorite, so I usually went to Halsey for my summer camps.
Ooh, the state 4-H
And,
camp.
Yep. My favorite was probably at Fort Robinson, which was the only one that I did outside of Halsey. It was with me and my best friend, and it was a wildlife sort of thing, and we just ran around with all the guys, and we climbed the bluffs, and we went here and there, and I don't even remember what we did during the camp, but it was outside of the camp, kind of stealing firewood type of antics that I remember the best.
So firewood stealing seems to be a theme here with summer camp, so pretty important to have firewood.
I'd love to go to a summer camp at Fort Robinson. To be honest with you, even right now as an adult, that would be a fun one.
Do they still do camps at Fort Robinson?
My brother-in-law is at a summer camp right now at Fort Robinson. And I'm getting updates every day.
Spouse supervised, it sounds like, though, right?
Very much so, yeah. But it's and it's all that, none of that wish you were here stuff. He's not giving me anything like that. It's just, here's what I'm doing today, and here's what we're doing tonight. I'm just, oh man, it looks fun. But how could you not have fun with family and friends camping out at Fort Robinson for an entire week?
That would definitely be worth it. Do they have summer camps in Wisconsin where you grew up?
They do. I remember.
Too cold.
My first one is called Camp O Dakota in southeast
Camp
Wisconsin.
O Dakota, I like that.
All the Cub Scouts, all the scouts would go there. My memory, I think that was my first tent camping experience. Learn how to pitch a tent, learn how to sleep on a hard ground.
Yeah.
Again, archery, probably my first introduction into archery, BB gun shooting, everything. Yeah. Everything you can imagine at a camp was there too.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Hershey, how about you?
My first hunt took place at a camp. It was a Cub Scout camp, and a bunch of the Boy Scouts. We were Cub Scouts. A bunch of the Boy Scouts took us on a hunt for a very elusive bird. In the evening before supper, almost caught it. Almost got that snipe. But they said it just got bad. Just got past a few people. Yeah, we just did. We had the gunny sack right there and had to walk around and kind of scare them out of the brush and all that type of stuff. But that stuck with me.
Camp Gullible. Yeah, I remember that camp. Yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Oh boy.
Oh, golly.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those first times in any kid's life. I know we're fighting over here at Mike's. So I'm gonna get away.
Sword fight.
Yeah.
Sword fight.
This is where we put the lightsaber sounds.
It really is. But it's one of the first times in any kid's life where you kind of break those ties from mom and dad. You're out here making some decisions on your own. And summer camp is kind of that first time where you get to immerse yourself in nature. You get to immerse yourself in the great outdoors, and your decisions have real-time impacts on you. Make the wrong decision. Might be a long, hot night. Might be a long, cold night. It might, whatever the case may be. So, it's kind of like that first chance at being independent to me at summer camp.
Definitely, and you get to try a lot of different things. You got some activities, but even sometimes the hikes from where you're camping to where the food's going to be in some camps, especially those that you get to camp out, it does. It makes you feel like you're hitting the real world.
Everything seems so much farther and longer when you're in summer camp too. That hike that's a half a mile seems like you're walking 2 or 3.
Campsite to the chow hall. It's like they add a 50-mile piece to it every morning. Yeah.
Now my son, who became an Eagle Scout, he spent several summer weeks at Boy Scout camp. In fact, he even had a job there the last few years. But it's amazing what he'll do there that if I ever, as a father, suggested him do when he was back from camp, there'd be no way. Just kind of like, but as long as you call that hike up from the where you're camping up to the mess hall, like Heart Attack Hill or something like that, it becomes cool all of a sudden, where for some reason pushing the garbage can, which is on wheels, from the one end of the driveway to the next, it's like, no, that's much tougher. But I got to come up with a cool name for it, I think, is what it is. But anyway, Julia, you were talking to your kids.
Yeah.
You got one in summer camp this week.
One is like a day camp here right now, and then Kyler's actually going to go to Halsey this summer. So he's doing like a mud and messy camp. And I think basically the whole time they play in mud, and then they just hose them off. And
he's a boy. he's a kid.
He's a boy, But he's really excited about this, and you put him on a bus, and they take him out there for like a week.
We did a camp, and I know that in this room, folks, there's not only folks that have been to camp, there's also been several of us that have coordinated camp or worked at a camp or something along those lines. And that's one of the camps I coordinated, is I finally said, nuts to this, we're not going to worry about how kids get dirty and mulberry stained and mud splashed and all that stuff. We did just that. We had a mud camp one year.
Fun.
And you talk about concerned parents, but happy kids.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
I
Yeah,
could
we
care
had
less.
to get right into it. We got them muddy.
I think I'm just going to send clothes and be like, literally, don't bring them back. Just throw them away.
Every day my kid came home naked.
I was gonna say, but save one pair for the bus ride.
Yes, just save one pair. We'll see. He, he thinks he's deprived of things now, so we'll see how that happens. But I think it'll be a good opportunity. He's so good at making friends and just exploring, and it'll be a lot of fun for him. And that's where his dad went to camp, so that's exciting.
Your son now is in a day camp,
Yes.
and your oldest is going to be going to an
Overnight
camp, which is a
Yeah.
big step.
That
It
is the
a
next
major
big
step.
Yes, that's a big step.
Right.
And I got to say, I don't remember day camps. I remember some church camps and stuff that were day camps. But beyond that, the ones that really stick out to me are the ones I spent the night.
Yeah. And
least
I
on the
think there's less overnight camps now than there used to be.
You know, I wouldn't doubt it. You guys agree with that?
Not only that, I think there's less facilities than there used to be for the overnight camps. I think a lot of those facilities are closed down, have come under hard times in keeping up and infrastructure and that kind of thing.
You think about our 4-H camps. We had 3 of them at the peak of
our
our residential 4-H camps, and now we're down to just 1.
Yeah.
But I think that's, people have kind of switched, because when you went to camp, you knew you were not going to have air conditioning. You didn't worry about it.
You didn't even notice it hardly. Yeah, you didn't.
Wait, I had air conditioning in mine. Let's just, I stayed
Not
in
all
the
of us
cabin.
noticed it. Put it that way. Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
It is.
I stayed in
and
a
to be honest with
cabin
you,
with air conditioning.
I don't remember very many of the camps we went on. I'm sure a couple of them had restrooms. You found a way. Nowadays, I think we've just kind of become more accustomed to all those luxuries. We just kind of take them for granted, and this and that, and keeping up those residential facilities, I think, to that standard of what we expect, a lot tougher.
Given the fact that she had air conditioning, I don't think Julia's relating to that part of it either. I don't think she's going, I remember that. No, not quite.
I think I remember pit toilets and
Yes.
hose showers.
Yep, exactly. That's kind of one of my recollections as well. But to me, I don't know. Maybe they do summer camps in other countries. I don't know. I'm not well traveled, so I won't say that. But to me, that's just something so American. Going away for the summer for a week or 2 weeks to a camp where you're going to get to do what I think of as American type things. You're going to get to do 22s and archery, and you're going to do rock climbing and stuff, and swimming in the lake, and canoeing. To me, that just seems like it's a little taste of Americana there. I think it's cool.
I'm with you. Another camp that we did was the All-American camp. Chased lightning bugs or fireflies, depending on where you're
Absolutely.
from. At night,
Absolutely.
cooked s'mores. I mean, you did everything that you were supposed to do on an American summer camp as well as a camp out.
What about
Just stay
your
around through it.
What about a favorite song? Do you remember a song from camp? Or any specific knowledge that you remember?
The only one I recall, and I'm not going to say it was my favorite by a long shot, is for some reason, one camper brought the song Hermie the Wormy.
Yes, that's
in
the
the
one
camp.
that stands out for me as well.
And it just caught on, and they sang that it seemed to me like every 15 minutes.
How's that go?
I'm not even going to sing it. It's one of those brain worms that just gets in there
Sitting
and
on the
keeps
fence
going.
post, chewing my bubble gum.
But it was like rodeo. Woo!
Woo! And along came Herman the Worm, and he was this big.
No, you gotta start when he's little.
Oh, he was this big. I
That must be a Nebraska thing. I've never heard of
And
it.
I said, Herman.
Yep.
Boy, that brings back memories. Yeah, old Herman the Worm. Yeah.
Did your camps have little shops you could accumulate? I remember at our camp we could accumulate fake money, and at the end of the camp you could go
Our scout
to
camps
the
did
post and buy
Yes.
equipment. Yeah, the trading
taught me
post.
finances. Right there. I learned
Right there,
finances at summer camp.
I remember that's probably what I looked forward to most. At going to the trading post and
Yep.
picking out what you.
Yeah, looking for
Can
useless
afford,
junk. Going, I'll
yeah.
take that useless junk over there. Now, for me, it was food. Other kids were buying like trinkets and stuff, and I was over there, but I'll take an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, I'm starving.
Yeah,
I think I got my canteen at one of the trading posts.
Yes,
at
yeah.
Scout camp.
No, that was a useful deal.
Yeah, still tastes like aluminum when you drink water out of it.
That was before
Still
Yeti cups.
effective.
Yeah,
Yeah, now everybody's got their
Yeah.
Yeti
That's the cool thing.
sitting
now.
out there with their Yeti cup or their water jug with a big straw on it or something. But back then, canteens.
Oh, that meant you were really roughing it
Yeah,
out there.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think it kept the water cool for all of 15 minutes at most, depending on
In the shade,
heat.
if it was
Yeah.
in the shade.
Well, did you guys ever hear the idea that if you had the cover and you got that wet, that would help keep it cooler for longer? And I don't know if it works or not, but it definitely makes
Oh,
the
like
side.
the koozie for them.
Well, it's just a little cotton wrap that snapped over the.
And some of them, I think one I had was almost nylon-y. It dried out pretty quick, but it'd make your hip. You were carrying that canteen on really wet. Kind of cooled you down that way, maybe. I don't know.
And this is where Scouts comes in, does a great job. But as far as kids in camp, it's like, okay, you take a class, a merit badge, if you will. Now you're trusted with a pocket knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you complete this merit badge, now you're trusted with an axe to chop wood.
That's
and that
true.
kind of, and it just kind of, again, builds those skills, those life skills that kids need. All kids need those life skills. And but it's like, how cool was it? I'm walking around summer camp. I got this knife on my hip, and I got this axe because I got it. I'm an axe trained, merit badge awardee, and so I can chop wood. It was just cool. Now today I realize it was just a way of getting free firewood from the kids, right? You can chop wood because but back then it was, no, I'm kidding, but it was just as cool as could be. But we're boys and girls, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and other camp type structures. Where are they going to learn those skills if they don't learn it at home? Where are they going to learn those skills if not going to camp? So very worthwhile. Very worthwhile.
One thing that I think we've lost the art of is the pocket knife.
I believe that is correct.
I'm not sure. I think it was Scouts where I probably learned it, and Grandpa talked a little bit, and Dad mentioned a little bit. But pocket knives are something that I think got carried a whole bunch more
They could.
in the past than they do now. Yeah, that's part of it. But even now, as adults, who's got a pocket knife right now?
Me.
In my purse, I do.
You didn't bring
got
a
one
purse
in the
into the
truck.
cabin.
No.
I
one in the
don't go
truck.
anywhere without my pocket knife, except airplanes. But I don't go anywhere without my
I
pocket
just
knife.
cut fish on Monday when we were fishing, or Tuesday. Yep. Cut worms. What did I say?
Fish.
Oh, I didn't cut fish. I
Cut bait.
cut bait. Yeah. I pulled the pocket
Cut
knife
bait.
right out
You got
of.
to cut bait or move on. Yeah.
Yeah, she just cut bait.
I took the.
Wait a sec. See, and this is what I'm talking about right
You can
here.
pinch a worm with your fingers,
Yeah.
FYI. I don't think you need a machete
Oh, you
for
should
worms.
look, the fingers looked like I was too.
or bite them. I mean, that might be misuse of a pocket knife.
Or teeth.
I
I'm
needed
gonna
to use
say.
my pocket knife. It's okay. The little wiggly things. Come on.
Now, Hershey, what purpose would you buy it? I'm just trying to understand. What was the... What,
These are gummy worms.
yeah. What led up to you biting the worm?
There are people,
In half, huh?
not myself. You
I
can
get it.
see that if you're watching us on YouTube. But there are nail chewers. People that get nervous, that nervous habit, that can't pinch them in half because they've got no nail on the end.
I tried.
So right
and I
there,
couldn't. I got nails.
Right there, real quick.
I couldn't.
But it's
It's not hard. I mean, this doesn't take nails.
Yeah, you can't pull them apart because that changes the composition.
They were
of the
so
worm.
wiggly though.
My
Like,
goodness. I mean, let's be honest here. Best worm is split right.
Kayla
now.
can
No,
be
a knife-
we were trying to get it into like thirds and fourths.
Exactly.
Knife-
Thirds and fourths.
knife-
That's all you need.
And a knife is definitely a clean way to do it, but it just seems kind of like cheating. It's kind of like, oh yeah, you could also bring out a little board and all that type
There
of
was
stuff.
no board
Paper
involved.
cutter.
Get it
Line
in the
your
perfect
worms up.
thirds or fourths.
I
whatever
did
you
line
want,
up two at a time, and I did do it.
That does not shock me in the slightest. Miss Logistics over here.
I saw this at Shoguns. Now my worm's ready to go.
Kids love going to get a worm because there's Julia over there flipping the knife around and chopping them up and
Volcano.
into her hat, out of her hat.
So I watched it. Speaking of worms,
Coca-Cola.
good fun story to tell, talking about kids and camps and outdoor activities. And so this one of the kiddos was very obsessed with catching a frog. The frogs were pretty thick along this the lake. And he put the worm on the end of the hook and he just kept waving it in front of this frog, and the frog was finally caught it.
Really?
Yeah.
Bullfrog or
No, just no, I don't think it was a bullfrog.
leopard frog?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Caught him,
impressive.
and so then I'm like, okay, now we got to get it out of its mouth, and threw it back in. But yeah, it was fun.
That is impressive.
Yeah. So it was all in that pocket knife cut worm.
There
that
you
did
go.
it.
And you've got a truck knife, you said.
Just a truck knife. Yeah.
Just a.
Just a truck knife. I don't carry one on me, usually. Unless I'm expecting I need it.
He's gonna cut something. Okay. You know, interesting. But anyway, every morning I throw this in my pocket. I go out to the barn without a pocket knife, I'm lost, because I mean there's always something I have to cut when I go out to the barn or do something out there, it seems. So at work, there's little things. A pocket knife is probably one of the handiest things I own.
Cut a steak. I've seen you cut a steak with that one.
I have used this for cutting more than one steak. That's for darn sure. And in the reality, I learned how to use it safely at camp.
Well, I think it was one of those rites of passage. Like you said,
absolutely was.
it got you a little bit closer to being a grown-up oftentimes. But you did. You were expected to have a pocket knife, use a pocket knife. You were shown how to use a pocket knife. That's probably something I failed. I don't know that I've really shown either one of my kids how to use a pocket knife. Now, my son, again, in Scouts, they talked about it, and he brought home some good things that I hadn't even heard. But at the same token, you know, I've got plenty of knives. I don't know that I think about it near as much as I used to. I definitely know my kids don't.
Yeah. I just don't leave home without it. It's
like the one you have right there. I mean, it's got more than just a blade.
It's got two blades. And it's just one of the handiest tools I own.
Don't cut yourself on that. That would be bad.
It's just one of the handiest tools I own. I'll be honest with you. I keep it pretty razor sharp, but it's just one of the handiest things I own. But it's always with me. And I mean, Christmas time. Everybody's passing gifts around. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm opening this. Need a knife." I always got my pocket knife. Everybody knows that. But camping, hunting, fishing, wherever I go, I've adjusted more scopes than I care to know with my pocket knives, just because that's what I had.
I gotta say, it used to be part of it right there in the nightstand. At the end of the day, you take out your pocket change if you had some, keys if they were still there, maybe your billfold and your pocket knife, and you set it there, and it was ready to go, and you had to fill your pockets up the next day. But I don't think nowadays we think about that as much. And your kids?
Kyler really had his pocket knife for a while, but then he'd set it down and lose it, and then we'd move on to the next one. And he's pretty safe about it and knows when to use it. So yeah,
losing pocket knives is a rite of passage as well.
It is.
Right.
It's hurtful.
Part of it with him is when you go to school, you can't have it in your pocket. So then we don't have that toss it in your pocket thing going on.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But I see a lot of knives where they have the hooks on them, and then they're hooked onto the pants.
On the side.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's handy.
And now you mention it, losing it. I remember as a kid growing up finding pocket knives. It wasn't like an everyday thing, Hunter, but every once in a while you'd be out camping or you'd be cruising down the railroad tracks or someplace else where people frequented, and I'd found quite a few of them. Most of them not usable, and a lot of them rusted and that type of stuff. But
this is probably, I've had this one at least 10 years. Maybe a little longer, but and it's in my pocket all the time. But I had one. There's another case, and I like good pocket. Case to me is a great pocket knife, great quality. But I lost one on a turkey hunt out in central Nebraska years ago, and it hurt. I mean, it took me a solid week to get over it. I'm not gonna lie. It took.
You're gonna say it took you a solid week to go out there and look for it.
I spent the better part of a turkey hunting morning looking for that knife because I knew I'd lost it. I went out to the spot where I'd sat. And unfortunately, I realized there was poison ivy there at the time. But I went back to that spot and sat down and looked around and tried to recreate my hunt. I mean, I was looking for this thing. I could not find it. And it hurt. Now, what's really going to hurt is if like another 10 years from now, cleaning out my pop-up camper, I find it in there. That's really going to hurt. That's really going to be painful. But it took
Where
about a
have
week
you
to get
been?
over it, because once you get, these are kind of a personal item, right? The size, the type of blade, the number of blades, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and when you lose it, you got to go find another one that rides in the pocket, right? And it just took a while.
Did any of you guys ever go through the Swiss Army knife phase?
Yep.
What that? Just bigger knife.
Well, in Scouts, because that had all the gadgets on it, right? I got scissors.
That's what I got in my purse. Makes my purse 5 pounds heavier.
The purse knife is a
I mean,
Swiss.
who doesn't need a fork and a spoon in their pocket? I mean, every single day. That was the coolest thing in the world, man. You talk about cutting your steak, then flip it over and eat it. I mean, that was a pretty
Leatherman
handy
tool.
deal.
I mean, I know people that have that
Leathermans.
shoved in their pockets.
Leathermans are handy.
Those actually that kind of was the progression of the pocket knife. I
It
think
really was.
It kind of like you said, Julia. It all of a sudden got too big, but it had a lot of function that you could use and a lot of functionality, but you couldn't put it in your pocket. So you had to put it on your belt or your hip or what have you. And probably for some people took the place of that pocket knife. I know for a lot of the things that I did. Did you guys ever have one of those small Swiss Army knives that had not just a pair of tweezers, but the toothpick?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did you ever use that toothpick?
No.
Other than to pull it out and show
Yes.
people I had a toothpick,
Yes.
and I just
It's
couldn't
always
get it
full
right.
of dirt. So you
Yeah.
pull it out like, bleh.
For everything you got out, 2 things went in between those teeth.
When you put it in your mouth, it cleans it off easily. So I wasn't worried about the dirt. That toothpick just worked. Oh man, that was a handy deal. Yeah, handy deal. And that little pocket knife wasn't that big. I mean,
No,
it had a little pull-out toothpick on one side and a pull-out tweezers on the other. They still make them.
both.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Scissors are pointless. They don't seem to ever cut
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, you're not cutting like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper or anything with those things. But
Oh,
but
that was
fishing
my
line-
problem.
Fishing line, they cut fishing line pretty good.
And maybe worms.
And I bet
Never
no,
thought-
scissors suck when cutting worms.
That gums up the scissors, something fierce.
Now, you
We
know,
tried.
the knife that I had the least amount of luck with was the one they gave me. My son's the oldest of our 2 kids. Is I got to cut the cord there in the birth. And you'd think with all the medical equipment that's around there
Please
and the
tell me you did not
scalpels,
use your pocket knife.
it would have been a lot smoother. Because I think our good family doctor that time, Slattery, I think he found the dullest scalpel that he could find. I'm not even sure it had an
I can
edge.
just see this scene now. Eric, would you like to cut the cord? By golly, good buddy, I would. No, you don't need to reach into your pocket. We've got something for you.
He called that a scalpel. Yeah. But it was it was bad.
Brought you into the world with a case pocket knife. By golly, that ain't a bad way to do it. Interesting.
Yeah,
Build an immunity right away.
Yeah.
you got to start soon.
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it was common practice at
I
one point.
can't imagine it wasn't. Yeah.
There you go. There you
But
go.
then, as you get older, you gravitate toward the sheath knife, right? And that became a big deal. At least when I was a kid, all of a sudden, back again, you and I, Hershey, are kind of the same product of the '80s. Rambo. Who didn't have to go out and have a survival knife after Rambo, right? And it's like, man, I got a fishing rod in here. I got a pup tent. You got everything you need. Now, it's nothing you'd ever probably put to use and it all be comfortable.
Survival, yeah.
But, man, the whole idea of a survival knife was a cool thing.
How big a blade did that thing have on it?
At least a foot. I mean, it was, I would
then
say it was
the
about a
handle.
6-inch blade. They were big. And a saw on one side. Have you ever tried to cut anything with your survival
I did.
knife saw?
I did.
Not the easiest thing
No.
to cut wood with. A bow saw would sure be handy at that
That's why I
moment.
think they had that little wire saw that folded up.
That
and
works.
the handle back
That
and
works.
forth was a lot more effective than the
For about the
serrated
first
blade.
eighth of an inch of wood, that works great. It cuts a nice groove.
Now, and that was the first first knife that I ever owned that not only had, where the belt went through the belt loop, but it had down on the very tip that
Yeah, you
string
tie
that
it to
tied
your leg.
around your
How
leg
cool
there,
were
your
you?
thigh strap there.
How cool were you?
Oh my goodness! Thank goodness I never had to rely on that for survival, though.
You had all that fishing stuff in there. What you didn't have was a fishing rod. And so you were going to dangle that down or put it on a stick or something like that. It wasn't going to be the same. There's no question about it. You were really surviving if you were catching fish with that thing.
And mine had the old bubble compass right
Yep,
on top
yep.
on a metal knife. So I'm not sure how effective that whole
Yeah.
north. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not going to work perfect. And there were matches in there. It was-
Waterproof matches.
Yeah, 4 of them. You didn't need 4 of them.
It
Probably,
was
but there
pretty
were 4
cool,
of them just
black
in case.
steel handle or whatever that was supposed to be. Thank goodness that thing never made it much past about 600 yards from the back step because
Yeah.
survival.
For survival, what it needed to come with was
Yeah.
a Rambo. That's what it really
Yeah.
needed to come with. If you'd had a Rambo with that knife, you'd had no
I
problem.
think the most successful people with that knife were the people selling them.
Amen.
I mean, it was. I'm sure it helped their survival quite a bit. Probably did quite well with those. Are those around anymore?
They still make survival knives, but and there's some quality ones out there. Don't get me wrong. The ones I had, I don't think were, but
for like $9.99 in the
yeah,
back
I was
of
gonna
the
say,
Boys Life magazine.
A look-alike leather type sheath, but yeah, I've seen some really dandies out there now. K-Bar, which is one of the
That's a good name.
Good names in knives, military style knives. Had made some over the years that were pretty nice, but they just seem bigger and bulkier than anything I ever wanted to carry for a knife.
I wonder, that could be. I might still have mine, and by saying I might have it, I might have left it in my room growing up and at mom and dad's house. It might still be there. We'll have to see, because your boys would have fun with that. Oh my goodness. And the nice thing is, I don't know what kind of steel they had in those, but it wasn't great, because I don't ever remember it being sharp at all.
No, not
to be
good
honest
steel.
with you.
Oh, funny.
Not well for $9.99 with all that stuff. You're not going to get the best steel.
But that was pretty cool. Now, I got a we got to switch gears here. We talk a little camp, little knives. You brought some baggage, Jeff.
I just like the colors.
What are you doing?
Just like the colors, red and blue. That's as cool as can be.
Big
So,
words.
good friend of mine, Jim Cocuto from the National Shooting, formerly from the National Shooting Sports Foundation, has a neat program out, and this program is helping hunters help the environment. It's called Fill a Bag While You Fill Your Tag. It's kind of a neat program where they're giving out these bags and just promoting. Hunters are out in the field. When you're out in the field this fall, you see trash, whatever, put it in that bag. It's a biodegradable bag, but you put it in the bag and pull trash out of the field, take a picture, and share it with your friends on social media and whatnot to show hunters who do so much good for the world, really, but the environment, certainly doing one more good thing for the environment by picking up trash that other people leave out in the field. So anyway, I think they're kind of cool. I think they could catch on here. So, different colors, red, blue. I mean, just how cool can that be?
Yeah. That's a great idea. You do find some weird stuff that folks have dumped.
Yeah. Well, not everybody cares about the environment like hunters do. So you go out there and you find stuff and you go, yeah, I'll pick that up, put it in a bag.
I do think there are some folks that think that if they drive out far enough and find the right ditch and just drop it off, it's just magically going to disappear.
And that's just not the case.
You don't see that ever, do you?
Oh,
Julia?
absolutely.
Living on the farm.
Ever, just forget that couch had been dumped out there, and bags of litter and bags of leaves, and let's see. Yeah.
Well, if you
whole living rooms of furniture sometimes.
Yeah.
It's amazing what people will do.
You might need to make these in a camouflage color.
Wouldn't that be smart? Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
I like to pick up trash when I can. I think but if you have a bag with you, you're more likely to, I'd say, because you're always tight for space and what you're carrying. But something like this where you got a designated space for it.
Yeah, and it's got this handle thing that also would fit on a hook on your belt, or on your over your knife or whatever you might have on your belt, and that way you can just open up, put the trash in there, and just carry it with you. But anyway, it's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool to even take for those when you go fishing too. Toss in your line. An event that Kayla and I helped with this past week.
But the point is,
one of the ideas was that the kids were taking these back. They were out getting trash. Tons of trash out there they picked up.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's awesome.
Any place folks recreate, oftentimes that they get kind of concentrated, popular spot to find trash. I mean, just walk away from it or blows around, or they intentionally do it, which is hard to believe. I don't understand that mindset, intentionally leaving behind trash.
Well, it's like when they have that, you've heard that old adage about the big Earth Day celebration, and after the Earth Day celebration, everybody left, they had like thousands of pounds of trash to carry out. People just, great intentions, but they always sometimes just don't remember, they forget that, someone's got to deal with that trash, and of course at a celebration like that, you probably expect someone's going to be able to pick it up, but out in the field, there's nobody else. If the hunter doesn't do it, the landowner doesn't do it, it's just there, forever. How many of us have been out there in the field and found an old can and it looked like it might have been like 60s or 70s?
Yeah, it's been going on a while.
So anyway, just something hunters can do it's just a reminder, really, that you're out in the field hunting, fishing. If you find something there, trash that's safe to pick it up and dispose of it.
There you go. And as Hunter, you mentioned, one of the things I've noticed is having a bag definitely helped, because it seems like the more I hunt each year, I add a little bit more stuff that I take into the woods with me and bring back out. More snacks, a bigger pair of binoculars, maybe more calls in the springtime, all that type of stuff. So I usually have pretty full hands, but something like this would fold right up into a pocket until you start filling it up and just carry it out then.
Yeah.
Especially when if you're out scouting, you don't have as much equipment with you. You can be a little more not as discreet.
Yeah, when I go scouting, I have a .22 pistol and binoculars. Right, I don't take much with me scouting. Yeah, and it's easy to haul out stuff when you find trash in the field. So absolutely.
And a pocket knife.
And it's always in the pocket. Always a pocket
You
knife.
got to include it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. You guys doing any scouting yet? Me neither.
No.
Not when it's going to be 100 degrees this weekend.
Not yet, but I was out. We went on a hike last week and came out with about 10 ticks each on us. So.
Well, that's not bad. You're sharing the wealth.
Going for a record. That's good.
We're going to have to talk more about that. I don't know if you saw our good friend Katie got one of those Lone Star ticks and had a reaction and all that type of stuff. So we're going to have to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
You could just listen to the She Goes Outdoors podcast.
Where
we
you
just dropped an episode on ticks.
Or what we could do is grab that podcast, the audio, drop it into Hunt, Nebraska, and we'll just introduce
voiceovers. We'll do voiceovers. It'll look really cool. What do you think, Hershey?
Well, Katie. But that's kind of scary out there, and Absolutely. It's something you got to keep in mind. And it's one of those things, got to learn more about it, because ticks, not my favorite critter to say the least, but also one that I don't let interfere with my outdoor activities. There's definitely things you can do to make sure that take precautions ahead of time that really help, but you can also do some things afterwards. After you get back in to make sure things don't happen. But that one kind of hit home.
Yeah, a little concerning. In the podcast, what was a big take-home message on ticks?
Well, we kind of talk about the different species that are in Nebraska, and then how to protect yourself. Not to be afraid of them, but here's what you can do to protect yourself from them. And they are here. We had the conversation that they're here year round, so they really don't disappear. They carry along with wildlife. And so, honestly, when we're deer hunting in a cold day, you could still encounter and bring home a tick. The other take home was you had to be 36 hours of the bite before they will actually inject the poison into you.
So you've got some time.
You have some time.
For certain ones. I think others are a little quicker at times. We'll take a peek
I think they were pretty, And there's a new tick that's migrated into the state.
That's what we need, a new tick.
It's a new tick, and it breeds asexually.
Can we say that on the show?
Not this one.
No, I don't think.
She goes outdoors. You must be able to get away with
different
anything.
Set of standards apparently, because we don't. Anyway, what was the new tick? What's the new tick?
They're gonna have to go listen to She Goes Outdoors.
Ooh, nicely
Not gonna
played.
give it up, are we?
Nicely played.
That was smooth, Julia. Very smooth.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. We're gonna have to put a fork in this one, or a pocket knife into this episode right here as we get out there. We appreciate you guys giving us a listen or a watch, either on YouTube or whatever audio platform you might be listening to us on. Make sure you give us a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff, and get over to our Facebook page, Hunt Nebraska, for that thumbs up so you can like us and find out when the next episode drops and all the other cool things that's going on there within our hunting and shooting community here in the state of Nebraska. I know the fishing guys are getting some things going.
We fish too.
There on the fishing side too. We're going to talk about that, our distractions from hunting during the off season at some point, but we appreciate you being there.
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.